What's up, Facebook? I have good news for you. Yesterday was I should first say thank you to everybody for coming out to Mellow Johnny's yesterday for the live podcast. But for those of you who weren't there and were at home watching the podcast on Facebook Live, JB, what did one of the emails said? Hey Johnny, your Wi-Fi is a little mellow. So
the Wi-Fi.
That's the bad news. Yeah. The good news is we're back in the Forward Podcast studio, and the Wi-Fi seems to be a little better here.
That will help tremendously.
Record numbers yesterday on the downloads. So obviously a lot to talk about, but thank you for tuning in. JB, should we do this?
Throw your headphones on. I got a little
surprise for us.
Little Bastille Day treat for you. You ready?
Yep. Thanks, over here. How long is this song?
That was to me and my buddies last night. You didn't know I was in a quartet?
Well, can I go now?
Yes, you can go now. And I have another surprise for you.
Oh, good. I love surprises.
Do you want to start out with the surprises?
No. Welcome back to the Stages Podcast, talking about Stage 13 from Saint Jérôme to Foix. And I know what everybody's thinking. Everybody at this point is going, why don't we have more short, intense days like that? We saw some action, and not only did we see some action, but you just kicked off this podcast with, I didn't know the name of that song. Anyways, it's like the French national anthem on Bastille Day.
It's a big day.
A big day. You had a young kid, Warren Barguil, from France, win on Bastille Day into Foix. Interesting thing is he's on a German team. So while all of the country is celebrating that a Frenchman won, there are no French teams celebrating that they won. I find that interesting. 25 years old, 6 feet tall and 130 pounds. We were talking about it before we went live. How about that?
That was almost me in high school, believe it or not.
And the other thing, and for those of you all who have been watching, this is the same rider who 2 or 3 days ago, I should know, narrowly lost in the sprint finish to Rigoberto Urán, the Colombian. Thought he had won, celebrated in a sense, and then the photo finish came out and he lost by half a tire.
It was a big heartbreaker,
yeah,
and so redeemed himself.
Total redemption and redeemed on Bastille Day. And good for him.
You've said it again and again.
And wearing my favorite jersey.
Yeah, and those that follow the tour closely, just a stage win can make a career, especially if you're a Frenchman, right?
I think it's safe to say that winning, no matter where, if you're a professional cyclist and this is your Super Bowl, just winning one stage. If you raced for 10 years and you didn't win anything, and then all of a sudden in year 10 and you got in a long breakaway and you won, you can call your career a success. It's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Now, there's different layers to that.
That's what we expected when we saw that name of Contador on the list. With
Somebody's computer just fired
almost
up.
a 10-year age difference between them.
That's all cool.
Was that my computer?
It just started, the coverage that we watch stops, and then it kicks back on in replay.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's no big deal.
Sorry, Facebook.
It's all good.
Yeah, so then there are different layers to it. Obviously, just to get the win during your career is big. To win as a Frenchman on Bastille, there's just, to win a mountain day is different than winning in a breakaway. So it was.
That's your phone.
I am fired. I didn't mute my phone. What an idiot.
I'm a tour.
How's it muted now, Dave?
Yes.
What did I get into last night to cause me to be? I feel fine.
Yeah, you seem fine.
But I'm just fucking everything up. Dollar.
So let me give you a gift to set the tone.
Okay.
All right. I got something for you.
Oh boy.
Because we were talking about Contador early in the stage, and we found out a little insider thing about him from our good friend Taylor Finney. Something that he's doing on his descents on the mountains. So I got you a little treat.
Oh my God! You got me a pink whistle.
A Contador pink whistle, so that you too can warn people when you're coming down the mountain and want to get to your hotel.
This is, I mean, I get a lot of gifts. This is, all I can say about this, because all these shelves, this has been, especially in a lot of detail has gone into curating these shelves. This is going on the shelf.
Is that right?
Yeah. This is, JB, you shouldn't have. I'll put her next to the F-bomb, right by the F-bomb. No.
God bless Amazon Prime.
Oh my God. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, but all joking aside, and speaking of the pink whistle, Contador was he was the one who opened up this bike race, and I don't think that should come as a surprise to anybody. He knows his chances for overall victory are done.
He needs a stage win. He's going to go for a stage
He's publicly said that he now has to try to win a stage. But he animated the race, and that didn't surprise me at all. What happened after that did surprise me. And I think on the heels of what we saw yesterday, and what happened with Chris Froome in the last, just in 300 meters, to lose that amount of time, I suspected, and I said it yesterday, that I thought he just had in Italian, it's a crisi di fame. It's a crisis of hunger. He ran out of fuel. Mm-hmm. And from what I hear from people over there, that is in fact what happened. He looked, well, I shouldn't say he looked better today, because he never really looks that good. No, it's very hard to watch.
If he's hurting.
In fact, today I thought, you know what? I think he's got a real problem here. And then I look away and I look back, and he's attacking. And he's at the front, and guys are getting dropped. And so I'm like, okay.
Do you ever recall a rider like that when you can't tell if they're hurting? Because he just has this, for those listening that haven't seen that closely, Froome has this sort of sloppy form that looks like he's hurting, where a lot of riders, you can just see in their face, they look fresh, their legs are quick, they're just pouncing, right?
No, he's very unorthodox, so to speak, but hey,
it works to his advantage.
Whatever, and it could work to his advantage, because you can't ever get a read on him, and I think that's a good thing for him when it comes to how his rivals are trying to. I mean, you can always kind of look at a guy, and is he? I mean, it could mean nothing, but is he sweating more than normal? Are his shorts or his jersey covered in salt? We see that a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this guy's on the limit. Is he standing up? It's just, their styles so well that when they're out of it.
Or their heels coming up on the pedals.
Well, or what,
Little
but he doesn't, his, very hard to read.
Do riders often, from your recollection, fake it a little bit so that their opponents might think they're in trouble?
I mean, I'm sure they do. I did that once, and it's sort of, but I did it, when I did it in 2001, I took it to such an extreme that I could never do it again, because it was such an extreme, and it worked perfectly. But once you really rope-a-dope like that, you never get to rope-a-dope ever again. They just call BS on you.
At a certain point, since we jumped right into Froome and all that, we'll come back to the penalties from yesterday, because I think that's going to get you pretty hot. So let's save that let's talk more about what happened today.
But also, when we talk, just so I don't forget, JB, when we talk about the penalty from yesterday and the inconsistency in it, we got to talk about drinking after a stranger. We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about that
down.
Yeah.
Well, one of the most interesting things that I saw happen today that I really need your help explaining, and I don't know if you can, but you're the best person to ask, and you happen to be sitting here.
Thank you.
So we have Froome has now lost yellow to Aru, and it's tight. And yesterday we saw Landa, who looked fresh at the summit finish and could have pounced and won. Right. We talked about that, and you were like, no, you don't do that. It's the team effort. And then there was a little bit of squabbling that we saw, some TV coverage of Landa and the Sky team.
The director, Nicholas Portal.
Yeah, outside their bus. And then we see Landa going with Contador on the break today. So to the average fan, we're like, tactically we're trying to understand what's going on.
Yep.
Has Landa decided not to help Froome anymore? Is he going for his own personal gain? Is it tactically better to have two people in contention?
Well, let me back because you missed some very basic things that I just want to bring you up to speed on. Number one, and you see it every Tour de France. A team, typically and traditionally, a team will not take a rider to the Tour de France if they are leaving the team to go to another team the next year. And most of the time, they won't take them unless they commit to stay with that team for the next year. So if there's any doubt, certainly if they're leaving, they don't take them. If there's any doubt, or if they're saying, well, let me see how my tour goes, then chances are they still don't take them. Mikel Landa is leaving Team Sky. He's signed with Movistar. It's done and dusted. He's leaving the team. The fact that you would take that guy to the Tour de France, and I'm not passing judgment on him, but he's leaving the team.
You don't know where their allegiance is.
Well, you don't know, and well, you start to see a little bit yesterday, but that's a significant bit of news that if you watch the coverage, they allude to, in cycling, technically transfers and new signings are not allowed to be announced until August 1st. We're not playing in that game. Mm-hmm. We're just going to say it the way it is. He's leaving the team. And so if I'm Chris Froome and you got on a Team Sky, he's got 6 guys that are going to be on the team next year and the year after and are his guys and are loyal and are strong and can do that job. Those are my picks to come ride around France for 3 weeks.
So you're surprised to even put him on this selection?
Well, he doesn't make the selection. Dave Brailsford.
He has a lot of influence.
You would, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
You would think. The other interesting thing is when you see what happened yesterday and you see as soon as Mikel Landa gets back to the bus, guess who's standing there? Nicolas Portal, the director of the team. And there's no hugs, there's no high fives, there's no celebration. It's straight up in his grill, going, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward, which is probably smart of them to do, damage control release or statement released by both Portal and Landa, just singing Kumbaya, which if you buy that, I got a bridge I'll sell you in San Francisco for like $1. So there is drama there. Fast forward to today. Contador goes up the road. Guess who's right with him? Mikel Landa.
Right.
And initially he sits on, not working, and then starts to work with Contador. And they weren't messing around. I mean,
they were putting a significant gap.
Yeah, they were stepping on the pedals. And then, of course, 2 comes behind a group of 3 with Nairo Quintana and Barguil, the eventual stage winner, and Kwiatkowski, another Sky rider. Now, what you saw is though that group come together, or before they came together, Kwiatkowski, you see him on the radio. TV called it as if he was suffering and getting dropped. Clearly, the team said, you have to come back and be with Froome, which is what they should have done. Perfect tactics. Mm-hmm. So, he had a guy with him, but up the road, that group is not coming back to the yellow jersey group. So I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the bus, around the dinner table. These settings that these guys sit in, I mean, they're sitting at a 9-top together. They're not with their family having dinner or with their buddies having dinner. They're all at the dinner table. And right now, they're all sitting in the bus, driving to the hotel. As close as you and I are sitting. There's some tension there, and it's made even more intense by the fact that he is leaving the team. Let's not speculate anymore.
Well, there's history. There's been many times throughout history where 2 teammates fell out during the tour and both wanted to win.
Yep.
This is not. If that's what's happening,
it's happened on this team. It happened. I mean, when I came back in 2009 and raced on Astana with Contador, it happened there. I mean, I can tell.
It happened.
I mean, the tension at the dinner table that I just alluded to, I know it.
So
I mean, the tension in the bus. you can't believe it. It's not good.
Yeah, how is that handled? I mean, do you talk to your director, your manager, or do the guys just? Is it literally what the hell? What the blank are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it just look. That team is again. None of us are there, but I can imagine that at that dinner table, most, if not all of those guys know who the boss is, and they know who the leader is. It becomes trickier when you have half the table that wants one guy and the other half wants another guy.
But they're all aligned. They're just maybe one renegade.
Yeah. No, Chris Froome is their man.
Okay.
Or as Jens says, Chris Froome.
Now, is it true on Bastille Day that all the French riders got to start on the second climb?
They did? No. We did, and that is not. I'll give it to ASO, and I thought about this today because we saw all this discussion about, and we'll get into it later, but all this discussion about the penalization of these riders yesterday. So then there's talk of, well, we saw it with Sagan and Cavendish, the UCI, and I think it's for us. We throw out things like UCI, ASO. People are like, what is?
We
exactly.
don't understand how.
So I think we ought to take a second and just give a little brief description of all those. The UCI is the Union Cycliste Internationale. That's the governing body. That's the NFL of this game, and they are, part of the IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee. They govern the sport. So whether it's rules, categories of races, anti-doping, all of these things is under their, jurisdiction. ASO, like when we think of the race, most people think of TDF, the Tour de France. The owner of the Tour de France, and you hear me refer to ASO a lot, is the Armoury Sports Organization. An old French family, the Armoury family, AMAURY. They own this event, amongst many, many other things. They also own L'Équipe, the race paper, or the leading sports daily in France. They own Paris-Dakar. They own the Paris Marathon. They own a lot of sporting events, the Tour de France being their biggest one. So when you refer to ASO, that's who that is. They own the TDF. The UCI is the governing body.
Got it. So let's go with the penalties that went down yesterday, which is really interesting to break down. Here's what happened. Let's see, it was Bennett, Aru, and
Lloren. Rigoberto Lloren, the Colombian.
Who took a water bottle.
Right. We have one Frenchman in Bardet. You have Lloren, a Colombian, and George Bennett, a Kiwi. And then within, not an Australian.
They took water bottles near the summit finish.
So the interesting thing, and again, this goes to the rules of the sport, and we can all. It's very frustrating, and again, I have to hedge my position a little bit because, sometimes me speaking about consistency in this sport might sound funny to some. But we've seen it. We've seen inconsistency. You've seen it in the last 10 days. You saw it, Sagan and Cavendish, and then Buhani with the punch and the quack in the sprint. That's an inconsistent ruling. So then, yesterday, Rigoberto Urán takes a water bottle. So you're not allowed to take bottles within the last, X amount of kilometers before the finish, which, by the way, is stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Who cares? Give them water.
Right.
I mean, guys, you're doing the hardest sporting event in the world and you can't drink at the end. How you feel now?
Right.
Anyways, it's the rule today. I suspect it'll change because of this. He takes a bottle from somebody on the side of the road who was not a team staff member, but did apparently worked for Cannondale, France.
Okay.
So they see it all. We see everything with the cameras and the helicopter shots. So they penalize him. Now, the interesting thing is that later on, George Bennett and Romain Bardet take a water bottle from a spectator.
Which is crazy in itself.
We're going to get to that. Because it's a real problem.
Right.
I mean,
I've seen them take it and dump it on their
That's
bags.
fine. I'm not talking about cooties, although we can talk about cooties. I'm talking about, people can put some shit in there.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess they could put anything in there.
Right.
They could put vodka in there.
Right.
They could put piss in there. You could put anything in there. Poison. I don't know.
It could be a combo of vodka piss, which is my favorite.
People often ask, "Who's JB?" I mean, he's a freak. We didn't know this about him. But so, anyways, before we get to the cooties, they both take the bottle from the same spectator. Only one of them gets penalized, and that's the Kiwi, George Bennett,
who was livid yesterday.
Right, Bardet, the great French hope, who they want to win the Tour, does not get penalized. I mean, how that happens.
By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, the penalty was 20 seconds added to your total time.
Which 20 seconds added to your total time for any of those guys. You have 3 guys in the top 10, 2 in the top 5, or 2 in the top 4. That is a huge amount of time. Look how close this Tour de France is. 20 seconds? Mm-hmm. So they penalize them. Everybody goes, wait a minute. We see on the footage that Bardet took the bottle as well. WTF? And then their next answer was, nope, we're sticking to it. Which at the end they just look dumber and dumber. And then finally they cave and they say, okay, no penalty. It's like, what? I don't get it.
And again,
I mean, I do get it. But
it goes back to the inconsistency. The inconsistency of Sagan getting kicked out of the Tour, Bahani blatantly throwing punches and does not get kicked.
Higgs, how close was it to the finish? When they took the bottles?
It was inside 10K.
It's close. Yeah, I mean,
you got to be pretty thirsty and in dire need to take a bottle from a fan.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. So then that gets to really, if I was talking to a young rider, you just have to be so careful. I mean, if you know the person, I would drink it. If they give you a bottle that is unopened, I would drink it. If you're that hot and it's a hot day and somebody hands you a bottle and it's open, the only place it can go is over your head or down your back. You cannot drink that water. There's just no way. This day and age, you just can't drink it.
There's a pretty rich history in that part of the world of poisoning leaders too.
I mean, it's happened. I mean, there's times that the people have, and I don't remember the exact example or name, but they've handed up, straight like we said, some strong alcohol that when your body is going through such an intense effort and you just jam down a big old gulp of, I mean, it's devastating. So don't drink that water, kids.
Well, you've mentioned it before, when I think we were talking about etiquette and it was to share this or that. And you're like, when you're in the Tour, you're at your limit. Your body is vulnerable. You don't want to be drinking after anybody at any point in that 3 weeks. You said that again and again.
It's easy to say, but yeah. Generally speaking, of course not. But I guess if you're that parched,
you're hurt.
I mean, we've all been in a position that people that ride a lot or do a bunch of, where you're just, you drink almost anything. But ideally, you just no. I don't think it's a good idea. But the real problem is this governing body, and particularly this jury of commissars, this jury of judges. We talked about this earlier in the Tour, how they get selected and who they are. I mean, come on. What did they expect? Did they not expect that we were all going to see that?
Right.
I mean, who sits around and is like, dude.
Well, earlier in the Tour on a summit finish, breakaway, or climb, they had a neutral moto there with Waters.
Right.
Where was that? Was it because we're inside
Too
a
close.
climb?
Too close. Yeah,
too close. And that's what you think we might see a change on?
Well,
hopefully.
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah, I think you should probably just let them. Why not? It's an old rule. This is we know this is a traditional sport. This is one of the traditional rules that that probably could and should change. But also, too, look at today. A very untraditional route. Today was an amazing day of racing. It was the shortest day since 1996. The Tour that I did shows you how old I am. But that stage was only short because they couldn't. We had a rain or snow shortened stage. And we talked about you know this was going to be full of action. 100K, these guys wake up in the morning going, I can do this. Thomas, sure enough, flag goes down. There goes Thomas Buckler. He's thinking, even I can do this. It's that short, and it's explosive. I loved it. I mean, as a fan, whew,
Okay.
I was a little bummed because there were times I couldn't understand what was going on. And even as I sit here right now, the final 20, 30K,
I think in particular you're talking about the yellow jersey group.
mm-hmm.
They were just not working together, scrambling, staring at each other. That was mind-boggling to you.
Yeah. Well, a couple things stand out. The fact that Fabio Aru, he basically has no team. And at one point on the final climb, you saw a team completely unassociated with him, UAE, sends 2 riders to the front and are setting tempo.
That's friends and allies. You're talking about, right?
Yeah. And we had to look it up. We couldn't figure out if the currencies between the Kazakh team and the UAE team, we couldn't figure it out if it was tenge, which is the currency in Kazakhstan, or the dirham, which is the currency in the UAE. We don't know how that worked out, but
a deal was made.
Nah,
A deal was made of support.
it doesn't.
For Aru.
I mean, we don't know what deal was made. I mean, these alliances and deals, it could be a favor later. We've talked.
Well, you
about
have to.
this.
You were sitting there looking at it and going, "Well, what's their interest to go and pull for Aru?"
I can tell you what they're going to say, right? They have Louis Minkus, who's top 10. So, and it is potentially legit that you are protecting your rider's 8th or 9th place position. That's what they would say. So, but that really isn't the headline. The headline is first of all, Aru does not have a team. Secondly, Jacob Fuglsang, who we said yesterday he dropped out. He didn't. He started today with 2 broken bones in his left arm. Is a damn hero for even trying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know that I'd want to ride behind him when he can't pull the brakes, but he tried and ended up abandoning today for sure. So he doesn't have a team. So you get to the end, and what I watched as I sit here and think about it now is you just have a lot of there was a lot of bluffing going on. For the life of me, I can't figure out why those 8 or 9 guys just didn't look at all each other and say, "Listen, the race is kind of getting away from us.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're not, but we have to form an alliance here, and we all have to work. Let's just all turn." Because I can tell you what, the 4 guys in the front, they were turning.
Well, if you look back over the last several years and in the tour up until yesterday, Sky was in charge. There was a group to take that matter into hands.
Right.
And I mean, as Aru, as the yellow jersey wearer, trying to rally that? Is he lobbying? Is he campaigning?
If anybody, it was Chris Froome. I mean, he was the one, from what I could tell, he was the one who was trying to get things, but they just didn't. And then they were attacking each other. But net, Aru had, I mean, they referred to it on the Aussie feed. I mean, it's Bastille Day, but it was Christmas for him. He had a whole lot of presents under the tree. I mean, he didn't even have to work. Amazing.
Okay. Now, let's talk your overall thoughts on GC contenders, where you see it, what you're thinking, and then let's look at tomorrow.
Here, this is, look, we have 5, well, now that Miko Landa is just over a minute behind. You have 5 guys basically within a minute. I don't care if it's the Tour de France or the Tour de Pharmacy. 5 guys within a minute. That's anybody's bike race. 6 guys within a minute.
We don't see that very often.
No,
no.
It's in this race is there's a few days where there'll be selection. This is anybody's bike race. I mean, Rigoberto Urán can win this bike race. Yet you start to try to look at the future stages and you try to project. Okay, well, the Telegraph and the Galibier are hard. They're long. They're high. The Izoard's steep, and it's a summit finish. And then the time trial, you try to play it out, but anybody can win. I still think Chris Froome is the favorite, but I think they're all, in their directors, are sitting with them tonight going, you can win this bike race.
And you've said it yesterday, and it sort of validated with some people there communicating with you that Froome just had a bad day. He miscalculated on food.
Yep. I mean, obviously,
Is it?
he showed, we would have seen today, but I think today he showed what I suspected yesterday, and I think was confirmed from what I heard, that he bonked. We call it a bonk, right? And to lose that much time in such a short amount of time is not like him. And you saw him. You would have seen it today if he was. But he looked strong.
Okay. What are your thoughts on tomorrow?
So tomorrow is it's interesting. I guess I should look how long it is. I know this finish. I went over a couple years ago and rode with Jeff Thomas and his crew for this big charity cancer effort called The Day Ahead. And actually, those guys are out there as if it wasn't hard enough for these sort of recreational cyclists to ride the entire Tour de France. Well, you know what these lunatics thought of now? They're going to ride all 3 Grand Tours.
Oh gosh,
dude. Guess they retired. I guess they're like come from trust funds or something. They're going to work 3 months. I'm out. But I went over and rode with them a couple years ago. So this particular finish into Rodez was in the Tour in 2015. So we rode it. Very steep. What is it? I mean, it's in the last 600 meters is almost 10% average. Very steep finish. So for the GC guys, you have to be up there and stay out of trouble. There will be gaps. There'll be big gaps. Not that they'll get gapped off, but if you don't have position, you're going to get stuck behind some guys and stressing. It's not a stage for a Marcel Kittel or any of the sprinters. Greg Van Avermaet won this stage in 2015. He will win tomorrow, and it's going to be interesting.
This is a name you haven't thrown out yet so far in this tour.
Well, no, I haven't. But there's 2 parts to this prediction. The most important part when it comes to the overall is yet another Christmas gift for Fabio Aru. He's got no team to support this race. BMC having the tour, the crappy tour that they're having, they have to win a stage like this. So, who's going to control the stage? I mean, Jim Akowitz is wrapping the Christmas present right now. They're going to deliver it all day tomorrow.
Okay.
And so he's going to win the stage. He won before. He beat Peter Sagan. Sagan could not come around him. It's a class. If Sagan is in this race, I think he's tough to beat tomorrow. But Greg Van Avermaet, who is the Olympic champion and, the real deal Holyfield, is going to win. But I think the big story is that Aru knows that. Astana knows that. They're all looking at those guys to go, hey, you got to carry the race today.
Okay. You want to take some quick comments and questions?
Okay.
Real quick. I just like to hear from people checking in. Let's see. Peter.
I like it too, JB.
Oh, good. Peter writes, listening from Melbourne, Australia, and loving it.
Thanks.
Christian checking in from Germany.
What's up?
Rockwell Franson writes, you need the old lady chain to go with your readers.
Ah. I can't even say anything to that.
The old lady's croaky. I don't know what that is. So James writes, who is your pick for the Bohani Mayweather fight?
How about this shit? This Mayweather McGregor thing, and we talked about it earlier in the tour when we had Todd DeBuff in the Airstream studio up in Aspen. I mean, Floyd Mayweather's made $700 million his entire career, and he just gets a tax bill and he asked for payment terms. What?
Wow,
dude. But I'd take Mayweather. I think he's a better boxer. I don't think Bohani has the chin. I think, by the way, I don't know. I don't know how tough he really is or not.
All right. Max Mutter writes, loving the podcast. If I remember correctly, Lance wore the green jersey for one day.
That's a good memory.
I believe it was the prologue in 2004 or 5. I'm really curious. Did you save that jersey, or did it go right into the trash?
No. I saved it. Where's my email from that I wanted to read? But all right, we'll get to that. No, I got second. And whoever's question, that was a great question. I think it was in 2000. I got second in the prologue, and the tour, being the commercial whores that they are, sell these sponsorships for the green jersey, the yellow jersey, the polka dot jersey. They want riders in that jersey so they can represent, and I'm not faulting them for being commercial whores. but they want that jersey represented. So the person who gets second wears, at least that year, wore the green jersey. So David Miller wore the yellow jersey, and I started in the green jersey.
I didn't remember that. That's pretty cool. Well, cool. That wraps it up for today. Let me.
What about our email from Sam, from my buddy Sam Petrigan from the Associated Press in France? I love you. Were going to read it. What's wrong with my email thing? I sent it to you, bro.
You did? I apologize. Let me try to find that as quick as I can. Just this morning?
I read it to you, and you said send me that.
I didn't get it.
I know, something's up. I got a lot of problems today. But he says, anyway, so Sam, my buddy, who normally emails me about music, he loves music, so we always rap about music, but he says, I've been listening to the podcast a lot. He's like, by the way, who's JB?
Why is this guy on here?
Yeah, who's this dude? And by the way, too, part two, Johan Brunel is really pissed because he's the
original JB.
He's the real JB.
Yeah. Sorry, Johan. He would point that out to me every time.
You wore green in 2004.
When you guys...
Huh?
You wore green in 2004.
Yeah, like I said, 2004. No, not in. Also in 2000, right?
Yeah, but also...
Oh, twice. I wore green twice.
Dang.
2004, I lost to Cancellara in the prologue in Liège.
Correct.
Okay. We don't have a really good answer to who I am. I'm just the dude that got the call to come do this. That's pretty much.
JB was a radio DJ, morning DJ here in Austin for, what, 20, 30 years?
21 years.
21 years. And we got to be buddies and did a bunch of work with Livestrong. And these guys, him and his old sidekick Sandy, started a really cool effort here in Austin called Bikes for Kids, which to me was the coolest thing you ever did and what I know you for the most. And how many bikes did y'all give away in the course of that whole program? And when I say giveaway, I mean give a bike to a kid.
Yeah, we would give them, our listeners would nominate families, and we gave away nearly 1,000 a year for 18 years.
Wait, so 18,000 bikes?
Roughly 18,000 bikes, helmets, and locks to kids.
So, Sam, I don't know if you need any more than that, but I don't know anybody else that's giving away 18,000 bikes.
No, it was a couple $1 million worth of bikes and gear over the course of that time, which was pretty cool. And it became what we were known for. And we started that charity about the same time you were starting your foundation and doing your first Ride for the Roses, which was the first time I ever got on a bike. And slugged through the 25-miler and thought I was a rock star.
Yep, here we are. Here we are. Thanks for tuning in. Exciting day. Anybody's bike race. I mean, that's what people want, right?
This is good.
They want an open race, and you're going to get an open one.
Yeah. Middle of the race yesterday, we were, thought this was just incredibly boring. It fired up in the last 1K yesterday, and now look at this.
Yep. Anybody's bike race. Greg Van Avermaet tomorrow. Take it to Vegas. Peace out.